Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DCL Show, your source for Disney cruise news and reviews. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner. Joined at the table this week from BigFatPanda.com, Mr. John Sicari.
How are you?
And our Dreams Unlimited travel agent extraordinaire, Miss Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
And, of course, our producer, Mr. Craig Williams.
Ahoy, hoy.
And just a reminder, this show, along with everything we do, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. I said that weird.
Unlimited. No,
DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com, of which I am one of the owners, so you'd think I'd be able to say the name. So if you enjoy our content, if you enjoy our personalities, if you enjoy what we do, if you find value in it, the best way to show your support is to book your next Disney Cruise Line vacation with Dreams Unlimited Travel. You'll get a shipboard credit up to $1,000, depending on how much you spend. Great gift bag full of useful things to help you on your next cruise. And the services of an incredible agent just like Ms. Elaine Edwards, where anything that goes wrong, anything that happens, she's there to step you through every part of the process, all for no additional money. It costs you the same amount as if you book through Disney directly. So you're literally, by not booking with Dreams, you're leaving money on the table, literally.
I had friends on hold for a couple of hours who I recommended to Elaine. They called and booked their trip through her and said, John, that lady was a dream. And it was mostly not just her service, but the hold times and stuff, they didn't have to do it. She did.
She did.
That's the service.
She did. So, and that's kind of, I guess that's a good segue into today's topic. We want to talk about cancellation. A question comes up quite a bit because of COVID. What are Disney Cruise Line's cancellation policies? And I don't think anyone knows the answer to that question more than Elaine Edwards, because she deals with this all the time. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Elaine, and let you start us off.
Yes. So this is something that I get asked about on a daily basis, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we did this show so we could talk about the current policies, and not even about canceling your cruise, but just what Disney is doing to protect you so that you do have options if you're thinking about booking a cruise or if you are currently booked. Now, all of this that we are getting ready to say is current as of today, February 2nd, 2022. It could change tomorrow, but as of today, these are the current policies. So when you book your Disney cruise, you book it with a 20% deposit. And that deposit, unless you are booking a concierge stateroom, it is fully refundable up until your final payment date. Now, through March, they're actually doing a half off deposit, so you only have to pay 10%. And again, it's still fully refundable up until your final payment date. Now, Disney has extended the final payment date for cruises that are sailing through the end of September of 2022. So if you are booked on one of these cruises, your final payment date is not until 60 days in advance, whereas previously it may have been 90 or 120, depending upon what cruise you're sailing on. Right now it is 60. Up until that time, it is fully refundable. Again, unless you're selling concierge, because those deposits are non-refundable, or if you have paid your cruise in full and have added insurance to your reservation, the insurance is non-refundable once you pay for it. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit further on.
Elaine, let me ask a question, because I've never understood this. Why is the concierge deposit non-refundable? Why is that different?
My feeling is that because those rooms are so limited, and they actually, a lot of them, especially for very specific cruises, they sell out very fast. And so people will book those very fast. And I think they want to, they don't want people booking up those very highly desirable rooms if they're not going to keep them. Also, because concierge guests can book their excursions and shipboard activities before anybody else, usually before the actual final payment date. I think they don't want people booking concierge and then booking out all of those activities and grabbing them up and then moving to a different lower stateroom or canceling all together. So I believe that's my guess. I don't know why. Disney hasn't told me, but that's my guess on why they do that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So
All right.
anyway, so on this final payment date, even though it's not 60 days out, there is something to be very aware of. And I've been reminding Pete of this all week because his Wish Cruise is coming up. And even though the final payment date is not until 60 days out, depending upon your Castaway Club status level, or if you are selling concierge, your date to make those activities, to book those online, is before that 60-day date. So if you are platinum, you get to book those 120 days in advance, but you have to be paid in full before you can make those bookings. So if you have something that you really, really want to book, then you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to pay early. However, you can still cancel 60 days in advance. And again, get that full refund unless you have paid for insurance. So moving on to the next policy is the cruise date flexibility policy. This one is for any sailings before May 31st of 22 that you can, up to 15 days before your departure, you can change your sail date. So that means after you've paid in full, you're past that final payment date, and you're between 59 and 15 days. We can take your sail date and modify it to a different sail date. The funds themselves are non-refundable, but we can change your sail date. So we can move you out 6 months if you want to, but if you cancel, those funds are still non-refundable. They're going to remain in the same percentage-based penalty that you were in on the date that we moved it.
So just for clarity, I decide to not cancel my cruise, but move to a different sail date. I've made my final payment. I'm inside that window. I choose to move my sail date to like the following year. I'm still under the cancellation penalty as though I hadn't moved my cruise.
Right. So let's say for your cruise, and I'm just making these numbers up because I don't have them in front of me. Let's say you were 30 days out from your cruise, and let's pretend like the cancellation penalty was 50%. And we moved your cruise out 6 months. You are still in that 50% penalty for those funds that we moved.
Okay.
Still fair.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's fair.
Right. So again, those are for at this time sailings through May 31st. They have had this policy going on for a good year now, so I don't know if they're going to extend it again. They may extend it again. They're kind of extending it kind of on a month-by-month basis.
I think just because these things live on YouTube for a while, we're talking May 31st, 2022.
Correct.
Because somebody could be watching this in 2024 thinking, oh, I'm okay. Let's hope. Because the need for these policies is COVID. So let's really hope that by 2024,
that they do go away, yeah.
We're not still dealing with it.
Gosh, let's hope.
At least not the way we are now.
All right. So we've now gone up to 60 days. We've now gone up to 15 days. Let's talk about being inside of 14 days. When you are inside of 14 days and you at home test positive for COVID, are exposed to somebody that has tested positive for COVID, are starting to get symptoms, you can then, we can move your cruise to another sell date without any penalty, or you can cancel without penalty.
So and how do they verify this? Okay, I mean, if you test positive for COVID, that's easily verifiable. But if you're exposed to somebody with COVID, how do they confirm that?
So I do not know that. I have had several instances for my guests that I have called these in, and they have redirected me about 3 levels up into supervisors, and I have to talk to them, and I have to give them my whole story, and they either approve it or they don't approve it, based on what I tell them. So as of this time, I have not had to submit any paperwork proof.
Because I think there's got to be HIPAA.
There are other
laws that come into effect
that are requiring proof to be sent in. As of the date of this recording, Disney is not. And as of right now, there is no end date listed on this policy. So we do not know how long this will be in effect. So I have a lot of guests that are sailing in November later this year and December that have been asking me. And even though their cruise itself is under regular final payment and cancellation policies as of right now, I'm telling them that this policy may still be in effect by then. It may not. We just don't know right now because they don't have an end date listed to this policy.
Okay.
When they're saying even if you just have symptoms,
because they don't want you. Yeah. They don't want you sick on the ship.
Right.
That's even if you don't have COVID, they don't want you coming on the sick on the cruise if you're.
And they have to make it. They have to make it as painless as possible for you, if that's what they want. If they tell people, oh, well, you can't come on if you're sick, but we're not giving you your money back either.
Can't, yeah.
Right.
Then people are going to be like, I'm fine.
That's the whole thing. I mean, and that's what I'm really trying to stress is all of these policies are called Book with Confidence. So that when you are questioning, what if this happens? What if that happens? You know that at every point in your cruise, DCL has you covered, and we can work with you, and your agent can work with you and get you taken care of so that you should feel okay that if you want to cruise, let's book the cruise. Let's go.
And again, self-serving though this is why an agent is important, because these policies have changed, and they've changed multiple times. And there's been adjustments, and there's been issues, and there's been this and that. Having an agent to navigate these changes for you.
They should change the name of travel agents to travel advocates.
Well, when it's done right, that's exactly what they are.
You have somebody on your side for you.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to start calling all my agents that now. I love that name, travel advocates.
And it's still TAs, travel advocates.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. You're now a travel advocate, Elaine.
I'm okay with that because that's what I tell people. I'm like, I am your advocate. I am on your side before you travel, while you travel, after you travel. No, I am here for you.
And that's the importance of it. And I don't want to turn the whole thing into an ad, but
yeah,
this is true of all good travel agents, not just the ones that work for me. This is true of all good travel agents, travel advocates. I love that. No, it's like a thing now. I'm going to I've got my teeth in that. I'm not letting go. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to add to this, Elaine?
So let's just real quick talk about insurance because a lot of people ask about this as well. And we preface this conversation with nobody on this YouTube recording is a licensed insurance agent. We cannot tell you to get insurance or not get insurance or where to buy it from. All we can do is give you the facts. So.
Well said. Our lawyer made her say that.
Yeah, right?
I say it a lot.
Well, on the real estate side, with moving to Orlando, whenever we talk about investment properties, things like that, we've got to put that disclaimer out there that we are not financial advisors, that we can just give you the information that we have and our opinions, but we're, stupid. And you should go talk to your own financial advisor before buying anything. You've got to put that out there.
Right. So the way that DCL's vacation protection work is that it is 8% of your fare. So the cost change based on the price of your cruise. And I tell my guests that we can add this on. There's a weird gray area about when you can add it on and when you can't, and when you can cancel it and when you can't. So I just use the blanket of 75%. Before you have paid 75% of your cruise, if you want to add it, we need to add it on. Once you have added it on and you've paid more than 75% and you cancel that cruise before we get to your final payment date, that insurance itself is non-refundable. And within the last year, DCL actually started enforcing that policy. And so that's why we have clarified. We used to say when you're paid in full, it's non-refundable, but it's actually a little less than being paid in full. So we're trying to make sure that people understand that.
Elaine, why would anybody buy the insurance before they're paid in full?
Because with DCL, you can cancel at, like, you can just pay you don't have to pay for the insurance with DCL at the time that you add it. It's different from booking a Disney World trip. Okay. So you can add it. When we do your original quote and we say, this is the cost of your cruise, we can go ahead and add insurance on. And all you're paying is your still regular 20% deposit. And then you can cancel and everything is refundable. You're not paying for the insurance at that point. Okay. So you've never paid for it at that point. It's still, you haven't paid for anything. So after we get past that 75%, if you cancel, the insurance is non-refundable. So what does DCL's insurance do? I have sent Craig a link, and he's going to include it in the show notes, to DCL's vacation protection plan, so that you can review all of the policies that it has. I also sent him a link to include that is the Book with Confidence plan for everything that I've talked about, and you'll be able to see what the most up-to-date DCL policies are. So Disney Cruise Line does include a cancel for any reason policy. So this is a lot. If you're comparing outside third-party insurance, maybe you're using Insure My Trip to rate and compare. Maybe you're looking at your credit card because it may have coverage as well. You just want to make sure you're looking at apples to apples because with Disney Cruise Line, there is a cancel for any reason. So what does that mean? Let's again use you're in the 50% penalty phase. If you did not have any insurance through DCL on your reservation, you cancel your cruise at that 50% penalty phase. You get a refund of 50% of what you've paid. The other 50% is the penalty that DCL keeps. If you have DCL's insurance on there, you then can file a claim. If the insurance company deems it as a covered reason, then they send you a check for that 50% and you get that back. If they deem it as a non-covered reason, then they give you a 75% future cruise credit to use at a later time. They decide what's a covered reason and a non-covered reason. I cannot tell you what it is because it's what they decide.
If they say cancel for any reason,
right?
Aren't they all covered?
Yeah, there's no reason then that they can cancel it.
For example, the example I like to use is if you broke your leg and you were in the hospital, that would likely be considered a covered reason where you would get all of your money back. If your best friend decided to get married that week and you canceled your cruise because you're going to go to this wedding instead, that's likely considered a non-covered reason, and so you get that 75%.
So it's not cancel for any reason then.
It is cancel for any reason.
It's just they might deem the reason invalid. Right,
and so it's the 75% cancel for any reason.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. They a little play over.
Cancel for any reason, but we're going to judge you, and we're going to decide. What percentage of your reason is valid?
Have you seen the menu for that wedding? No. You have to.
So, whether you get insurance or not, that is something that is a personal decision for you and your specific situation. I do like to remind people is look at what your health coverage that you currently have with your health insurance is. Does it cover you internationally? Because here's the thing, none of us plan to have an emergency, but that's why it's an emergency, is we didn't plan for it. And I will tell you, if you have to get helicopter airlifted off the ship, it is $10,000. I have had clients do it.
How much is it?
$10,000.
Really?
At least.
Yes.
At least.
So, just saying. I cannot advise you in any way, but make your decision carefully. So.
All right. So there you have it. Cancellation and insurance. That was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. We kind of went into this show going, "Oh Lord," but that's.
I will tell you, for me personally, because I do travel a lot. I actually have a yearly policy that is actually very inexpensive, and it covers all of my travel for the entire year. It covers because I work while I travel. It covers my laptop, like everything.
Really?
And it's actually very inexpensive.
Where would you go for something like that? What website?
So the company I go through is Alliance, and they actually have yearly policies.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yep. It's actually very inexpensive.
It's Alliance with a Z, right? ALLIANZ?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I will have to check that out. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for that, Elaine. Thank you for joining us for this discussion. We hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back with you again next week with another episode of the DCL Show. Have a great week, folks.